Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Revolution. This is the James edition. Over the last few episodes, we have taken into consideration the integrity point that James gives us in chapter 1, verse 2, that says, "My brethren, count it all joy whenever you fall into various trials." And in each of those episodes, we've taken one word from the verse, and we've tried to get out what that word means so that whenever we put it all back together, we have a clear understanding of what James is saying in this verse. We've looked at the word brethren, we've looked at the word trial, we've looked at the word various, we've looked at the word fall. Today, I want us to look at the word joy. This is a power-packed word that we are not going to be able to unpack in just one episode. We will catch up on it later as we begin to flesh out what this verse means. But if you're looking for a definition, say in Webster's dictionary, you will find that the word joy means a feeling of great happiness or pleasure. That's the way we normally understand the word joy. But what this definition does not do is it does not take into consideration what is meant whenever the Bible talks about joy. We see it in the Psalms, we see it in Proverbs, we see it in the New Testament with the words of Jesus. We see it with the Apostle Paul where he says this is the fruit of the Spirit. And so what does this word mean? The best definition that I have come across is from a favorite teacher of mine, and he says this: joy is the anticipation of hope fulfilled. I love that explanation, I love that description, that definition, because it takes into account what the Bible tells us. He says, an anticipation of hope, or that word there, hope, can go back to our faith statement. The faith statement is that God is in charge of all. God will never leave us. He'll never forsake us. That He's always holding us. He sees the future. He sees the end. He knows what's going to happen. Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for good. That is the faith point. But hope speaks of our confidence that we have in that faith statement or in that faith point. You see, hope in the Bible means confidence. And so what James is saying here is whenever we have confidence in what God has said, regardless of the circumstances, we can have joy. Joy is the anticipation of what the faith point says being fulfilled. Joy has a purpose, and the purpose is to dull the pain and pressure of God's unfolding plan. So many times whenever we have adverse circumstances, we don't understand what God is doing, and so we are tempted not to be filled with joy. But James tells us that because of the faith points that we talked about earlier, we can now look forward with anticipation of that confidence being fulfilled. And it takes away the pain and the pressure that comes during these times. Now, I don't want you to get the word joy confused with the word happiness. Happiness is a relatively modern English word. It started somewhere in the 13th century, and it is derived from the word hap, which means luck or chance. Happiness has everything to do with something that has happened to you. And if that something is an adverse trial, then you're probably not going to be happy. And so happiness, the modern English word, is derived from the word hap, or something that happens. Happiness is derived by something on the outside, something fortunate on the outside that is happening to you. Whereas joy is an inside job derived from the understanding or the knowing that God is in control of all things. The Bible tells us in the book of Proverbs that a man makes his plans, but God directs his steps. If you're dwelling completely on this human level, we don't want anything to interrupt our plans. We want our plan to go as planned. We want our plan to be fulfilled. But the mature believer realizes that, yeah, we've made our plans, but God is going to direct our steps within that plan. And sometimes what comes up will be something that is obviously joyous to us. Sometimes it will be an adverse circumstance in which we need to appropriate joy. We need to look into the future. We need to see that God is in control, that God understands, and anticipate the fulfillment of God's plan, even though it may somewhat differ from our plan. So that's where I'm going to stop today, because I've given you a whole lot to think about there. So think about it, pray about it, make a plan that I'm going to be joyful. I'm going to look past the problem into the faith point that I say I believe, and I'm going to put it in action in this integrity point, that I will count it all joy whenever I fall into various trials. Think about it, pray about it, plan it, and act upon it. Grace and peace, everybody. Have a great day.